Hey everybody, welcome back to Stratego Freaks for another educational and fun video. This is a good one, guys. I'm glad I have an opportunity to showcase this game for you. This is between Nemesis and a pretty strong player. Not going to mention his name. Could be toxic. But the bottom line is this game really shows how to utilize your miners in the end game to attain a victory in what was once a losing position in the game. We're going to take a good look at that and see how Nemesis properly navigates the end game and comes up with a pretty nice win. Whether you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced, you're going to want to protect and covet your miners. I know sometimes we sacrifice them early in the game, but if we get down a few miners and they're just not there at the end game for us, we're going to lose a lot of positions or just not be able to get to the flag. So, I think an important rule of thumb is make sure you're keeping minimum 3 miners going into the end game, if not 4. I mean, if you're going to sacrifice 1, that's fine early, but you also have to be mindful of what the end is going to look out. And sometimes the miner can be the most important piece on the board, and that's important to acknowledge. So if you're a beginner player, pay attention to the details in this video because it's going to help you get some wins. The bottom line is nothing really super important happens here until move 274, which we're going to get up to. So I'm going to scan by here, but we might as well watch Nemesis miserably lose his kernel here. So it gets cornered and was a good aggressive move by our opponent, and he goes up an early kernel, which sucks. Now we're down. Okay, so let's actually go back. Let's move. Okay, so an exchange of majors there. And we're going to keep going. And is pressuring and takes up a scout. Looks to me like he's giving that up, but to take a piece. Now, the Marshal got the kernel back, which is great. So the Marshal here in the center for our opponent is taking control and is posting it there and not allowing much of anything to happen. Now here comes the Gen. And now both gens in the center. Nemesis wanting to counteract that center control and is up a captain. So that's, things are looking okay, right? Okay, there's an exchange. And, things at the moment look pretty good for Nemesis until it doesn't. So this left side of the board, if we're looking through A through D, actually, this is a very vulnerable side with some pretty significant pieces. That if any of these get taken off the board, the tide will turn pretty quickly. So that is a definite possibility. And it looks to me like our opponent is probing the side to find vulnerable targets and is going to go for that. So he sacrifices the spy, then it's no longer needed. And that allows... Okay, so there's a hit by Nemesis. Now, if we're looking at the graveyard, this is a vulnerable side because the Marshal spawned where the General is currently sitting, and the General spawned from this side over here. I believe it was C8. This D8 square or piece looks vulnerable. So because of the fact that Nemesis is vulnerable on this side and about to lose some pieces, like if this major gets scouted, we know that this is a dead piece. He decides to take the risk, the gamble, to pick a piece up to and keep up with the Joneses there. So he hits, and oh, that's a shame. So really good bomb placement here by our opponent. And if we're looking at the boneyard, it does not look pretty. Down the Gen right now, and once was an even game. And then, ooh, now that captain advantage is disappeared. Now it's kind of like completely losing. I mean, it's not over, but it definitely looks terrible. So let's keep going. So now the colonel's coming over to find out what to do here. And this is a dead piece. It cannot escape. Nemesis, realizing that, doesn't even try to move it, because if he does come up, then the 2 just comes over and it turns into a chase fest, and it's just going to get killed anyway. So what Nemesis tries to do is focus on his attack and see what he can manage to do while this bloodbath is taking place over here. So let's go. So he pushes, and there. So let's look at the graveyard. Down the gen and a major. Doesn't look good. So at this moment, I want to bring something up, and this is another part of the game what higher level players do often. Whenever they play somebody, they or even in an analysis, they start to recognize setups here. And Nemesis thought about lottoing this F9 square, but because he ran into this high bomb and the style in which this player came out with, Nemesis started to realize who this was and began to decipher the bomb setup, because he believes he knows exactly what's happening on this side of the board. Now, the only known piece over here is this high bomb, but in Nemesis's mind, he knows what the bombs are, and I'm going to go through with my cursor, and we'll look at those together. So he believes that he knows this setup, he knows this player, and the bombs would be on D9, C10, E10, F9, and G8. So he's going to commit. Being down what he is, you cannot waste time and allow your opponent to course correct and take away your attacking chances. So at this moment, Nemesis is going to run around these probable bombs that he believes, and he's going to lotto everything fearlessly because he believes he knows. And being down, you kind of have to go for stuff. But as I said, strong players have great memories, and Nemesis utilizes that memory to his ability perfectly in this game. So let's see what happens. So the gen is discovering, or I should say our opponent is discovering pieces, and it's going to go with his attack on the left side of the board. And here comes Nemesis with the Colonel. He's hitting. Bang. 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 He's going to take everything over here. Bang, again, 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 and just really taking away this opponent's ability to attack throughout the course of this game. So down now, if we're looking at the boneyard, the graveyard here, things are, even though we're down a couple of big pieces, there's only 2 miners left for our opponent, which is going to be a problem to get to the flag. He has no more of the minor pieces, and Nemesis has plenty of miners left. So let's keep going here. So discovery, now we know another miner, which is going to be great. We're going to pinch this off. Now there's only 1 miner left. This is a bombed in flag. This is very problematic. Now the gen is over here, and we know our opponent's probably pretty pissed off about that lotto sesh. Well, it wasn't even really a lotto sesh, but all those in his mind, he's like, what a lucky guy. In reality, he knew where those pieces were, and that's a lotto. So he's now down the 2 majors and the gen, but up a lot of pieces here, and only 1 miner remaining for our opponent here. Let's keep going. So now things are going to get real interesting. So I'm going to continue to push forward with this game. Okay, that's a scoop up there. Nothing. So now take a look. This miner is going to come all the way down and put pressure. It's going to basically corral this general, because the general knows it can't stop it. So it has to come over and protect, obligating it to this square. So there comes the miner, and now our opponent is bringing back his colonel to assist in capturing some of these pieces, but he can't allow a miner to get up. So now he's occupying the colonel's position here. Let's keep going. So he's trying to figure out the lay of this board here. Lots of chasing going on, and I think we determined that this is the miner here. Right now on B8, Nemesis was coming down to hit that piece with that sergeant, and he is going to chase, because if we get rid of that final miner, That's pretty nice, right? So that is now a trapped piece. So that went off the board, which sucks, but this allows the final miner to come off the board. Pretty masterful stuff to get that off the board and securing what could be a possible draw, but now the real games begin. So what Nemesis has done here is put a miner on each file, on each lane. And this is where the strategy, the one rule you cannot forget in Stratego is the double chase. In this case, it's a triple chase. Now, this is something that all beginners should know, and I want you to follow this sequence closely because this happens in games. It happens quite a bit, and you better know how to handle these situations. So this piece, let's just call all these pieces have equal value. Everything on the board for our opponent can capture everything on our side of the board. But because they're spread so thin, he can't control all of it. So he's just going to chase. If you repeat, I believe it's 200 moves over, the game becomes a draw. And you also need to capture or sacrifice a piece in order for the game to continue, or otherwise it'll be a draw. So I'm just going to go through this. As you can see, our opponent is double chasing on 3 different sides of the board. Eventually, he cannot follow. The game will not allow you to continue to chase like that. So if you know, let's go back for a second. The game says you cannot double chase. And now he's got to move that gen back, which allows this miner to creep 1 square closer. And this is going to continue. And I'm showing you this in detail so it sinks in. And watch how Nemesis will climb up the board by force. And there's nothing our opponent can do about it. And he's really hoping for a misclick or, you know, just a mistake in order to stop this. But look, it's getting closer. Every time the double chase sequence happens, he gets closer. Now he takes that to avoid a draw because a piece has now been taken off. And he is just coming in. He can't ignore that miner. So that back row or that piece, that major, is now looking like a 2 square, 3 square rule here. And it cannot continue that. And we're back over here now. And now the left side is becoming pressured. Keep going. Now I could scan through this, but I don't think it would be a disservice. So you want to see this in real time and what it looked like. So Nemesis is now closing in and circling this flag like a snake, like a boa constrictor. He is just wrapping up. Now this is a cool little sequence. He's on it. Now it looks like our opponent might be able to stop this attack, but there's the hit. He's on it. The gen has to take back. Has to, because the miner is on the flag. So when he does, this allows Nemesis to come down there and get to the flag, and there's nothing our opponent can do. And that to me was a real beautiful game. The memory piece is important, but not all of us are going to be blessed with a great memory. But you can recognize setups for sure if you're paying attention and decipher what's happening. That said, keep this in your mind that miners are important, and if you're on the defensive side, you need at least 3 pieces to deal with 2 miners. And that was 1 miner for every piece that he had left, and there was no way to stop it. So pay attention to that, guys, in your games, and you can utilize this technique as well. Anyways, I gotta go. I hope this was informative and cool, and you get a victory because of it. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Anyways, I gotta go. I'll see you on Strategus, and I'll beat you there too.